Following directly on from what we were looking at the last chapter, we're going to take a look in some more detail at users and privileges within the MySQL system. As you can see from the top of this screen, to log on to the system we typed MySQL, then a space, then -u, and then a space, and then root. This logs us on as the root user. As the root user, we have all possible privileges within the MySQL system. Now we're going to create another user. Let's say we try to grant them all the privileges in the MySQL system. And we're going to say on *, so every table on every database, to, let's call them teacher's pet at localhost. Localhost being this machine that we're working on, the machine that the MySQL server is installed on, identified by Apple. So we've created our teacher's pet user. Now let's quit, and we can log back in as the teacher's pet. So it's simply a matter of typing the MySQL client executable name from the command line, whatever that command line is, whether you be using Windows, such as here, or Linux or Unix. Then we type teacher's pet, and because we've got a password here, we use another little option here, -p. Then it's going to prompt us for the password, so we'll put in the password that we just chose as root, and now we're logged in as teacher's pet. Now let's take a look. We can look at our databases, and when we try to log in to the food database, it has no problem with that, whereas in our last movie we tried to log in with our reader user who had very limited privileges, and we weren't able to log into the food database. Let's go over to the sample database, and let's try dropping one of the tables. We're going to drop table time demo, and it does that without a blink. It drops the table and removes all the data within the time demo table and the whole structure of the time demo table. So as we can see, teacher's pet has quite a lot of power. Let's try, however, as teacher's pet, to grant all the power that teacher's pet has to his mate. Using the same syntax. As we can see, although teacher's pet has all the power to do anything he wants within the database, teacher's pet is not allowed to pass on those privileges to anyone else. Let's log back in as root user, and we'll try another grant command here. We'll try grant all again on ** to the same username and the same password. But the key phrase that we had missing before is with grant option. This truly confers a huge amount of power to whoever you pass the grant option onto. The grant option will allow teacher's pet to grant all the privileges that teacher's pet has been allocated to anyone else. However, of course, teacher's pet can only grant those privileges to which he himself has access. He can't create a more powerful user than he is already. Let's quit from MySQL, and now we'll log back in as teacher's pet. We'll use the Apple password. Now let's try to grant all of our powers very recklessly to my mate at localhost we'll log out and log back in again as my mate. We'll use the password that teacher's pet specified, and now we're logged in as my mate. Now when we take a look through, we can do exactly whatever we want within all the databases on the MySQL table. For instance, we can drop whole databases, which is just the kind of thing that my mate is likely to do if he gets his hands on this kind of power. So he destroys the library while the teacher is away, and then the teacher returns and takes a look at what's happened, and now the teacher needs to take some action to punish my mate and teacher's pet to a degree. What the teacher can do, or the root user in this case, is to revoke powers that he has granted. Revoke all on ** from my mate at localhost. This works just like the grant command, except instead of conferring powers, it takes them away again. So now when my mate tries to log on, he'll find he won't be able to do anything at all. And then as a punishment for teacher's pet, he's going to remove the grant option that he granted to teacher's pet, seeing as he has proved himself not worthy of this trust. So as you can see, the grant and revoke options allow us to maintain a very precise level of security over each of the different users that we allow access to the system. One user may be able to have only select privileges, another user might be trusted with insert privileges, another user might be trusted to delete information but not to drop tables. So we can be absolutely pinpoint specific over the exact kind of privileges that we want to have them to have, and using the revoke command we can take back privileges whenever we want as well. In our next movie we're going to look at the nuts and bolts of how this happens behind the scenes.